created to have some fun together, sharing and singing. So, join and enjoy.
Our love for opera brings us together. Thanks for being with us in this trip.
Luciano Pavarotti is one of the very few who stood for what he believed in. Was he an activist? Certainly not, or at least not to the extent that comes to our minds. While many artists, and I would rather say many opera singers, in their immense egos dreams of fame and being part of royal events such as the queen of a given country, I am singing and it is a royal event. The queen, the king, the prince are going to be there. That's what many opera singers dream of. And while he was still at the peak of his career, he gave his voice for those who were invisible in the news. Those people who were invisible in the news were depicted in a video that is truly shocking. The name of the song is Miss Sarajevo. Miss Sarajevo is about a conflict that took hundreds of thousands of lives in the 90s of the past century. And to the shame of us all, it could easily portray many other wars and conflicts that have come after. The documentary version of this video, as I had just mentioned, is really shocking. You can see the destruction of buildings and the destruction of lives. It's hard to swallow all of that. And if you're there and if you want to watch that documentary version of the song Miss Sarajevo, what you're going to see there are is actual footage of what was happening back there in Bosnia. In collaboration with Brian Eno and Bono and The Edge, Luciano Pavarotti sang this song that became worldwide famous. This song has a good number of questions that in the voice of Bono lead us to ask ourselves. And it is very calm. Is there a time for keeping your distance? A time to turn your eyes away? Is there a time for keeping your head down, for getting on with your day? Is there a time for kohl and lipstick? A time for cutting hair? Is there a time for high street shopping to find the right dress to wear? In these first lines of the song, Bono is asking how and if any of these things can be happening while there is a war out there. For many, the video and the song and the whole situation in Sarajevo is in fact a story of resilience. Humans who refused to be in complete confinement and that in a way they challenged death every day. Continuous bombing every day, shooters on the roofs of buildings shooting at people passing by, and still there were many who defied that situation. And that's what the song is about. That's why Bono asks, is there a time for colon lipstick? Is there a time for cutting your hair? Is there a time for high street shopping? Is there a time to find the right dress to wear? Is that something we could believe that could be happening in the middle of such a war, in the middle of such a conflict? Of course, to the eyes of most of us, the answer would be no. We would be hiding. We would be in a place where we would be feel secure. But people there refused to give their humanity away, and many of them continued to try to live as if nothing happened. That's what the questions are about. After that, there comes the chorus that says, here she comes, heads turn around, here she comes to take her crown. And that is because the name of Miss Sarajevo refers to the fact that there was a beauty contest in the city of Sarajevo, again, like challenging the whole situation that was happening back there. And this contest, of course, had a winner. In this contest, you can see them carrying a very big message saying, "Don't let them kill us." To see all the girls in the beauty contest carrying that with their arms, it's again really shocking. And we go back in the song to the questions of Bono. Is there a time to run for cover, a time for kiss and tell? Is there a time for different colors, different names you find it hard to spell? Is there a time for first communion, a time for East 17? Is there a time to turn to Mecca? Is there a time to be a beauty queen? Again, the message of that contest that you can see in the documentary version of this song. And the melody so far is quite easy to grasp. Bono is not doing anything difficult in the song. As you see, in a way, it can feel monotonous the way the questions are being asked. Is there a time to run for cover? A time for kiss and tell? Is there a time for different colors, different names you find it hard to spell? Is there a time for first communion, a time for 17? Is there a time? And many people also think that that this question, "Is there a time to turn to Mecca?" refers to the fact that people were killing each other, and one of the reasons of that was not only the ethnic origin, but also the religion. Again, religion being the perfect excuse that we all humans need to kill each other. And after all these questions, and in the middle of this despair, we can hear the voice of Luciano Pavarotti. Luciano, who still at the peak of his career decided to give that voice, a voice that in many news all these people never had. So he would join Brian Eno, Bono, and the Edge and sing this part in Italian, which, by the way, we had just listened as the opening of today's episode. And let me read this down for you. Dici che il fiume trova la via al mare e come il fiume giungerai a me, oltre i confini e le terre assetate. Dici che come fiume l'amore giungerà. L'amore e non so più pregare, e nell'amore non so più sperare, e quell'amore non so più aspettare. If you pay attention to the voice of Luciano, it is not the full, strong, powerful, lyrical voice that we know in Luciano. It is still, of course, the great voice of Luciano, but there is a tone of sadness and despair in his voice. Please notice to each of the phrases he sings and you will realize. Please try to notice that tone of sadness and despair in the voice of Luciano when he says, "Dici che il fiume trova la via al mare e come il fiume giungerai a me oltre i confini e le terre assetate." At this point, what he has shared is, people say They say that just like the river finds its way, finds its path to the sea, that same way the river does, you will get back to me. Oltre I confini e le terre assetate, dice che come fiume l'amore giungerà. A phrase of hope. The same way the river does reach the sea, the same way love will reach and get back to me. And notice also that in this phrase, just before the high note, he emphasizes, and still with a tone of despair, you can see some light in the voice of Luciano as he approaches with hope that this is about to change. Dici che come fiume l'amore giungerà. Of course, many people or everybody keeps in mind the following high note: l'amore e non so più pregare. But just after that high note is what really breaks our heart, because after having said that just the same way the river reaches the sea, that same way love will reach back to me, and you say l'amore, which means love, e non so più pregare, e nell'amore non so più sperare, because I don't know. I just don't know how to still wait for love. I don't know how to wait for love any longer. E nell'amore non so più sperare, e quell'amore non so più aspettare. Of course, a heartbreaking expression, and it is a heartbreaking expression out of sadness, destruction, and death. I only need to read X, former Twitter. I just need to read X every day and find that countless of those so-called leaders are willing to go to war. They always have reasons to have their people killed in battles and war. Of course, they are not going to war. They are comfortably in an office sending other people to die. And that's what shocks me. I read every day these leaders giving reasons to go to war. And from that perspective, the voice of Luciano will remain forever. I would like to close with the words that we read on the video. Please don't let them kill us.
You can follow our channel for the latest updates and more content. Opera We Love Singing, in just one word. Link in the description of the episode.